Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 24 of the Dream Team Tonic podcast with me, Tony, and as usual, Ben. Are you there, Ben?
All right, how you doing?
All right, mate. And James, are you there?
I'm here, Tony.
Good stuff. We're all here. Quick shout out to all the Patreons. We appreciate your support. It's great to have you all in the Discord and lots of chat going on there. It's great to see that a lot of you are doing very, very well. There's a few that aren't, but we won't mention any names. But yeah, there is a consensus of us all doing really well. So long may that continue. If you're listening over on Spotify, they do have a new rating system. And I'd love you to be able to click that rating and give us a good rate on there. YouTube,
5 stars.
5 stars, obviously, please. Obviously, you're listening on YouTube, on the video, a like. If you're still not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It's all appreciated. Yeah, let's jump into our teams. First up is you, James.
Yeah, not too bad this week. 48 points, 5 from Edison, 10 each from Trent and Robertson, -1 from Alonso. Bowen got me 8 points in midfield, Silva nothing, De Bruyne 13, Moira game cancelled but has another game to play.
Yeah.
Lukaku, useless sack of something he is, 0 points. Jota 3, and Ronaldo, who was supposedly fit and raring to go, according to Ralph Reniak, didn't play and hopefully plays midweek. So yeah, not too bad. 48 points. Best teams dropped 14 places from 35th to 49th. Still struggling a little bit with that side at the moment. I'm not. This last month hasn't been doing so well because I think I'm missing Cancelo. So everyone else has got him, and literally everyone else has got him in the top 100. And yeah, he got 10 points this week, didn't he? I think so.
Still got 5 transfers, don't you?
Still got 4 transfers, Ben.
Right.
I swapped. I swapped Mora for Bowen, just to use up one of the transfers because I figured Bowen had a higher ceiling going forward, and he seems to be in the form of his life. So I looked at the stats before I did it. I suppose you could argue it's a sideways move, but I really wanted Bowen for the short to medium term at least. So
on fire, yeah.
And he scored, so that's which is good.
Should have had a second.
Shouldn't he?
Oh
Hey?
God, how was he missed that in the last second?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
What's he doing there? Just edit in, son.
Unreal. Yeah.
Crazy.
Decent week, that, mate. Decent week, really. 48. Steady. On to my side. 35 points this week. Still got Mendy in net. He's survived the month. I don't know how. I hate changing keepers. So, Cancelo, 10 points. Diaz missing out, benching. Strange one, but they kept a clean sheet, so I suppose it's the right decision. Rudiger, 0 points. KDB, back to his best, isn't he? 13 points, winning goal, and Starman. Jared Bowen, 8 points. Maddison, absolutely fuming with Burnley. You can't just sell your players and then call a game off because you're not got enough players. Piss off. Fuming with that.
Oh, Burnley.
Yeah.
Shocking, isn't it?
In Burnley's defence, I don't think they wanted to sell him, but he had a release clause in his contract. So I think it was a 20 million release clause or something, and they hit that. So I don't think they had a lot of choice in it, to be honest.
Offer him a new contract.
Well, I think they probably tried, but they can't match Newcastle's wages, can they? But I totally get your point. I think it's more of an Arsenal move, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Definitely. To loan out all your players. We haven't got any players. Oh,
they're going to run out of time to play these games, Burnley. They're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Bottom of the league now, aren't they? Anyway. Bernardo Silva, 0 points. Lukaku, he should have had a goal. 0 points. Mikel Antonio got an assist but a yellow card. I brought him in for Lacazette. and Diogo Jota 3 points. Liverpool scoring 3 goals. Without Salah and Mane, you'd have thought Jota would be involved in that.
He should have scored as well.
The goal machine Fabinho.
Oh yeah, three goals in 2 games or something like that. Oh,
I think it's 3 and 4 or something like that. Yeah,
got 2 in the cup, didn't he?
Crazy. But yeah, there you are, 35 points. It's not my best side. My best side's up to 3-4-4 now, I think it is. So creeping up slowly. But obviously, as you get higher and higher, the teams are getting better and better. So you don't make as many jumps as obviously coming from like 5 or 10k. You can climb quite quickly up to the top 1k. Happy enough with a week across most formats. So Ben, how'd your week go, mate?
I beat yous again this week so far. 57 points. Flying now up to the 20th in the Dream Team Tonic League. This team now.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I've got 2 teams in the top 1k now. One's around 300. I think the best team's around 300. This one's about 1k now. 1,331 points. I've got Edison in goal, 5 points. Van Dijk, 8. Rudiger, 0. Cancelo, 10. I brought Trent back in. Done the COVID okey cokey with him. Nightmare. So last week he had COVID. Missed the weekend's game, didn't he? Then he was suddenly back for the game on Thursday. Fake COVID, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
He wasn't out long, was he?
No. I don't know how many positives he had, but he was the only one that was still positive.
Yeah, government are wanting to bring him in for tests, aren't they? He's the fastest ever recovery of COVID reported.
He must be double jabbed. That's why. That's why he's straight back in.
He's had 2 boosters as well, so
yeah. Yeah, so I wanted Trent long term, and I'd sold Maddison for him because Maddison's only got 1 game this week, and Trent's got 3 to his 2 before we get the new transfers.
Yeah,
thinking I might bring Maddison back in February though. Bernardo got silver. Bernardo got 0. Kevin De Bruyne 13. What a goal that was! Did you see it?
Was lovely.
Yeah, very nice.
Kante couldn't even catch him. Skinned him. Bowen 8 points. Ronaldo, don't know where he is. Hopefully he plays on Wednesday.
Fuming. Ranić, honestly, get him out.
What is he playing at? It's saying everyone's back for this weekend, and then none of them played.
Yeah. Honestly. First he's trying to get rid of League Cup, and then he's pulling stunts like that. Honestly, Ranić, I hope he takes him down.
Jota 3 points, should have scored. Lukaku should have scored 0 points. So yeah, not bad. 57 points. I think that's a good score.
Very good score.
Yeah, plenty of games to go still in the midweek as well.
Yeah, as long as the all these teams don't start crying wolf and just cancelling these games. It's an absolute farce at the minute. Not just Liverpool, James. Obviously, everyone's having their own little do with it now.
Well, I would like to point out that's the first time we've made a request to have the games postponed. Some sides have had multiple requests.
That's true. It is true. It's the length that they went to, though. I think they said there were 10 false positives, was it? And then someone did the possibility of having 10 false positives, and apparently you got more chance of winning the Euro Millions 5 times than having 10 false positives in a row.
I reckon he's gone to Trent. Do all these swabs, and then we'll put them through as positives. Yeah. Try and buy some time.
and then the whole fiasco. We'll shut the training ground down. Because that was the last straw then. Because then Premier League probably thought, not Premier League. It was a cup game, weren't it?
Yeah.
Against Arsenal, so they thought, oh God, we're gonna have to now they've no training ground, we're going to have to cancel this, aren't we? Obviously, there's something serious going on. Yeah, they cancelled game, then they reopen it and play Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
And then Trent, and then you take Trent out, then Trent's back after 4 days. Not even done his full isolation period.
Well, I think if you are vaccinated, you just need two negatives in 2 days to be back out working.
Well, no, I think that. Well, yeah, but you still got. There's still a minimum quarantine time, isn't there? So it's still a minimum, I think, of 7 days, isn't it?
I think it's changed.
Yeah. It's 5 now.
Oh, God, can't keep up. Anyway, this is a football podcast.
Yeah.
We're all armchair epidemiologists.
Don't get me started on the Downing Street parties. We'll probably end up there at some point tonight. Yeah. Right. Anyway, listener questions before it does end up at Downing Street. Connor's been on. Resident Connor. He's got 2 questions. Are there any teams to target in February who are just as good as targeting City? Because we know obviously a lot of people are going to be heavy City. Do you guys have a hobby you like to do in your free time that doesn't involve football? If so, what is it? Might struggle with that second one. James, teams other than City.
Well, obviously Liverpool. They've got some great fixtures coming up. So they've got 7 fixtures till the end of Feb. Man United have 8 fixtures till the end of February, and they're fantastic. However, they're not very good, are they, at the moment? So I don't know if I would touch United, despite those fixtures look amazing. But I don't know. Ronaldo's obviously carrying an injury at the moment, so he's a bit risky. Fernandes, well, he might carry on doing quite well if he seems to do better when Ronaldo's not in the side. But I wouldn't be touching their defence. That's clearly a no-go area. Leicester have 8 fixtures, and they're pretty reasonable. Going forward, that would be my top 3.
Going forward.
Yeah. Assuming they don't cancel any more games. Yeah.
Another one. Sure, they can't have any more games cancelled now.
Oh, it weren't our fault this weekend. It was Burnley's.
It wasn't.
Yeah, we've got 16 players out. Hopefully, there would have been 5 players back this weekend, so that's good news. Yeah. So I can't see our game against Spurs getting called off unless they have more cases.
Yeah, I think they've already been through it, haven't they? So
yeah,
you'd like to think that's a shoe in that one.
Yeah. I think you covered it there, really.
I didn't answer the second part of the question, did I? About hobbies.
Go on, James.
Well, I don't think I can discuss my. No, I'm joking. I listen to a lot of retro computing podcasts, and I've just bought myself a little retro computer that can emulate any 8 or 16-bit computer. So I like to. I haven't actually played any games on it yet, but I do like my retro computers and things like that.
Do you like the old Street Fighter 2?
I was never a massive into the fighting games massively.
All right, Sonic Boom, Sonic Booms, Ryuken.
Yeah. I remember those.
I used to play them in the arcade.
Blanca spinning across the screen.
Yeah, so this little device I've got is called a Mister, and it can emulate any of the old arcade games. It actually creates almost like a copy of the hardware. It's perfect emulation, basically. So I'm looking forward to getting that up and running soon, at some point.
Happy days. Bam.
Well, that doesn't involve football. Okay. Well, going to the gym, really. Going to the gym, and I play guitar as well. So, but I haven't played guitar once this year, so I need to pick that back up again.
We're only 16 days in.
Yeah. What about
we
you?
We need to get you on the pod with your guitar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You could play the intro.
Yeah.
There's me fanning around.
Let's do it.
Fanning around with that intro, putting that all together. We could have had an actual bespoke natural Ben playing us in each week.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that for a special. I'll have to look into that. As regards to teams to target other than City, Liverpool do have some decent fixtures with the 7 games. Obviously, you got United with the 8, as James said, but do you really want to go anywhere near them? Not really. Out of the United and Leicester, I'd definitely be going towards maybe as a differential from City's a couple of, as I said on last pod, is a couple of Leicester mids, or even Daka. I think we've already been out injured. I think Daka's going to get quite a bit of game time, hopefully.
Yeah.
And what I have seen of him, and obviously we have Ben in our ear as well, as a fan, Leicester fan, he's pretty impressive. He's going to be a good player for Leicester. So he'd be someone who'd be pretty different. As well as there's not the strikers aren't firing. Ronaldo's obviously when he's on the pitch he does do a bit, but you got Lukaku stumbling, Kane stumbling. There's a gap there. There's a gap there for a differential forward. But the midfielders are coming up with so many points that kind of like we've probably dropped back to a maybe four in midfield, and maybe 3 strikers isn't the way to go at the minute. But
it's been a struggle this weekend to find something exciting to bring into your team.
Yeah,
don't you think?
Yeah, it has. The cancellations haven't helped.
Yeah, the cancellations.
Arsenal.
Kane would have been a good one to bring in.
Yeah, Burnley, Leicester was another bit of a dampener. That's probably where the anger comes from. It's not so much my hatred for Burnley. It's more about the dream team and obviously having Maddison and stuff. And I think I doubled up on him in a couple of my teams.
That could have been a good score for a Leicester midfielder. Like, 2 games postponed this month and the one last month as well. Yeah,
but they've got to put him back in there at some point. And obviously Leicester have got 8 games leading up to end of Feb, and then they've got a few spaces there which are going to have to be filled with games. They're going to have to be playing weekend, midweek, almost every week. The Chelsea game's been moved now, hasn't it, for the cup final?
Yeah, so they could fit something in there.
Yeah, so probably squeeze something there. Yeah, it's quite a lot going on. Hobbies outside of football, or fantasy football. I'm struggling with that one. Obviously, spend my spare time with missus and kids and trying to do as much as I can with them whilst they're young and enjoying the young years.
You make me feel bad now. I should have said that.
And obviously, my kids are in an age now where I should be able to get back to Rovers and get watching Rovers again, because that's what I did before I had them.
Oh, Glory supporter. You're now doing well.
I am a season ticket for 26 years since I was like 4 or 5, and
then they got relegated.
Then we had kids. Hey, that's not true. I enjoyed dropping to Championship because at the time we had Steve Keane in charge. We were getting pumped every week. It weren't fun. I stopped enjoying going to games because we were that bad. And it were refreshing to drop to Championship. I got to go to a lot of new grounds that, because I've only ever supported Rovers since being a kid in Premiership years, it was good to actually visit some proper football grounds and some smaller clubs and some good away days. Had some great times dropping there. But obviously once you have kids, your responsibilities change, and no longer was it viable to be getting up at 4:30 a.m, having a tin on the buzz at 5 o'clock, or going off all day and not turning up until the day after.
Those were the days.
They were the days, but kids come along and hopefully they're ready, almost ready to be going to football. Whether we go up or not. If we don't go up, I've got more chance of getting a ticket, so it'd probably be better that way. But yeah, good question, Connor. Good question, mate. Andy Barnett has been on with teams currently able to pussy out of a game for any old reason. Take note, James. I can only see Man City, Chelsea and possibly Spurs having the depth of squad to not have that option available to them. So on the subject, I have a 2-part question. A, considering false positive Liverpool and oh my arse has gone Arsenal, I've already handpicked a postponement. Do you think there are any other teams that might jump on the bandwagon? James, come to you first, mate.
Well, obviously Leicester, we've got a lot of players at AFCON at the moment, so I wouldn't be surprised if they felt suddenly had a few extra COVID cases.
Yeah.
In terms of answering the second part of the question, yeah, I just keep your eye on the news and what managers are saying, because they usually start off whinging about lack of players, don't they?
Yeah.
And it's got to the stage now where you can actually almost predict that they're going to suddenly, the day after, they'll carry on whinging and say, we might have to postpone. So, yeah, just keep an eye on that. Don't do early transfers. Well, you can reverse them in Dream Team, so it's not the same, I suppose. But I'm not sure I'd try and limit my players to... I mean, he's suggesting that maybe an option is to limit the number of players you have from a single club. I get where you're coming from with that. In Dream Team, because you're allowed to have lots of players from the same club. I probably wouldn't do that myself, but I get where you're coming from. They'll replay that fixture at some point. It's difficult to predict it, isn't it? So you're not just gonna get rid of, if you've got 5 Man City players, you're not going to suddenly go, I'll have to get rid of 3 of them because they might have a postponement. I wouldn't be going down that route. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, teams to avoid. Well, it's tough, isn't it? Because Leicester, like I just said, they've got 5 players coming back, so they should be able to play the games. Man City's supposed to have a COVID outbreak, haven't they? But that literally don't look like any of the players have got it now. Just staff. Yeah.
They were using the same testing kits that got sent to Liverpool.
Yeah.
But Man City have got such a big squad that the chances of them having to postpone a game are less than like a Leicester, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've got...
Or it should be, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tricky. Yeah, I don't know. I like with the other question, I just think you're best off picking the best players from the best teams, and obviously you should have your teams pretty set up now if you're going into January for the rest of the season. So you'll have should have transfers saved back for when there is problems with this COVID and you can move away from it. But like you see, like what I've done with Trent last week, I thought, he's going to be out for 10 to 14 days, and he was back next weekend, so I've ended up bringing him back in. What do you think, Tone?
Well, I'll just read the second bit of his question out. I didn't actually read that bit, but I'm going to come back. His second part was, should we just do our transfers as normal? Some teams will have 6 to 7 of the same team, or should we try and minimise potential problems, only have 1 or 2 problems from a single club? I think a lot of it is going to be past. These teams that have cancelled maybe 1 or 2 games, some obviously more than that. Liverpool being one, I don't think that card can be played again now. But then again, if they were false positives, does that mean they haven't really had the outbreak yet? I think it's going to pass through every team. So it's who that team is playing. You could probably look at it and maybe highlight which teams have had it on your fixture ticker.
Yeah.
And look for a path through it, kind of thing. So like you say, with Leicester and Spurs, it's probably nailed that game goes ahead next week. Because obviously Spurs were probably one of the first to have the problems. And obviously Leicester now getting 5 players back. That's probably going to save that fixture, because Leicester could have easily been the next team to start picking postponements. Like I say, if COVID's ripping through the City's side, well, City's squad, as it's been spoke about, why did their team looks just so normal?
I know.
And I know we're saying they've got a big squad, but if they had 3 or 4, there'd be 3 or 4 that we noticed. Obviously, Diaz at first was one that I thought, Diaz ain't inside, but then he's on the bench, so he wasn't one of them. who's one of these cases?
Zinchenko was one, wasn't he? And Sterling, I think he had it the week before. But I think they're both back. Now, Sterling came back at the weekend and Zinchenko's not back yet. But it says he's got a knock. So I don't know. No major names that have got COVID.
I think what we're seeing is a lot like maybe a few people picking up COVID, but because these teams are also struggling with injuries and suspensions and stuff, they're like piling them all as one and then saying that not enough players available and stuff. But I mean, back in the day, like rewind 4 years ago, like if players were ill, they weren't able to play, injured, suspended, you had to use your youth side. This is when these young players got opportunities. Go back all them years to when Marcus Rashford got his first opportunity for United. He was probably 5th, 6th, 7th string striker there. I think what's that lad called? The two twins who ended up.
Raphael Silva.
No, not them lads. Will Keane and what's the other one? Summit Keane. Michael Keane and Will Keane, was it? Who were at United at the time. Will Keane was ahead of Rashford in that pecking order, and he got an injury. That's how far down they went. And Rashford got that game. I think he scored in his first appearance for him. And then obviously the rest is history. Our players, how are these young lads ever going to get opportunities when we're just cancelling the games now? Oh, you've not got 15 players with experience. All right, well, we'll just cancel games. Sod it, no. How about you put 5 players with experience on the pitch and put 6 youngsters with them and just let's see how they do.
Yeah. Do you remember Spurs in Lasagna Gate? Where the whole it was the FA Cup final, wasn't it?
No, it was the last game in the Premier League to get into the Champions League. And
that was it. And you knew it was an important game.
Yeah.
And the whole team got food poisoning, didn't they?
Yeah.
And they literally, some of them still actually played. It was unreal. Yeah. But they looked green on the pitch, didn't they? And they lost. And they weren't allowed to postpone, even though they tried, didn't they? But it was like no chance.
West Ham they played, weren't it? And they're like fierce rivals. So apparently the chef was a West Ham fan, poisoned them all.
Unbelievable.
That's the rumour,
yeah.
Yeah. That annoys me. Does annoy me. I wouldn't be scared about putting a big chunk of City players in. Even Leicester, now they've got a few coming back. Liverpool, you'd like to think it's past these teams now. And going forward, there's going to be less and less. Obviously, with the isolation time cutting down to 5 days as well, surely now we're going to see a hell of a lot less postponements. I'd like to think.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
And obviously now it's coming to the it's on everyone's mind now about such a body. They're just doing it for trying to fix the game. Well, not fix the game, but obviously they've got a few injuries and other stuff, so they'd rather play at a different time. So I think they're going to crack down on it a little bit if it is being exploited, loopholes and that. You know, clubs, lawyers, and they find ways around shit, don't they? Right, moving on. Lee Hooper's been on. Good old Lee. He's having a mirror with all his transfers. Don't know if he's mentioned it. So his question is, should he start taking a more hardline approach to transfers? As a loose rule, maybe he should only make transfers if a player is injured or being dropped from the side. Dropping players that has gone a bit quiet has worked out terribly for him. So, to you, James, what do you reckon, mate?
Well, I'll be careful not to go too far the other way, Lee. I think the key is to have a plan, an upfront plan for your transfers, rather than sort of making rash decisions at the last minute because, you know, certain players playing or everyone's on Twitter is suddenly bigging up somebody. You know, get yourself a plan for these transfers prior to the game week. Obviously, if you need to make changes because, you know, players not playing, then that's fine. But I think the key to not spunking all your transfers is actually to have a plan for them. And you should always be aiming to keep at least one transfer. Well, you know, like in December, even more. But, I mean, this month's a tricky one because obviously Chelsea going away to the Club World Cup in February. So the sort of things you should be thinking about are, well, should I be keeping a few transfers back to, if you've got 3 Chelsea players, that's potentially 3 transfers out, 3 transfers in if you want to get them back. So that's 6 transfers. You only get 5 a month. So I'm already thinking about using some of this month's transfers to remove some Chelsea players, and then I can get them back with next month's allowances. Things like that you need to be putting a bit more planning in, I think. On that note, I am going to be writing an article for the Patreon this month on a checklist for that you should run through before you make a transfer. I think that'd be useful for everyone, really, myself included, just to give yourself that little mental check to say, is this, am I making a rash decision here? Have I considered the fixtures? Am I doing this because it's a 1 week punt? These things with a checklist. I think it would be helpful to have that to prevent sort of rash transfers and things.
Yeah, good shout, James. Ben?
Yeah, I think that's going to be really a good idea for the lads on Patreon.
Definitely.
You need to start, like you just said, looking at the fixtures, see who's got the most games, best fixtures as well. Like, I think you jumped on the Man City players against Shrewsbury on Friday. When you got your transfers, you got a bit giddy.
Yeah.
And you put in Jesus, didn't you? And he only had 3 games this month, possible 3 games, and he didn't play it the week. Didn't start against Chelsea, did he?
No.
So there's another game you've missed. So yeah, you have to start planning the month before, really, and start looking at who's got the most games, who you fancy scored most goals, points. And obviously you're on the Patreon with us on Discord. You can always put a question into the Discord and ask what everybody thinks of your potential transfer. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, he's had some hard luck. He's a bit impulsive, is Ollie. Like you say, he's got a bit giddy with them new transfers and a strong City lineup against Shrewsbury. It could have been an absolute massacre. And he could have got quite a few decent points. I think what has probably gone a little bit wrong for him sometimes is not putting players back in, which I think you've done a great example of it this weekend, Ben, of like she's took players out and then not put them back in on the basis that he could have just took them out, so I'm not going to waste chance of putting them back in. But if the players like Bowen, who's on fire, or in your sense, you took Trent out thinking he's out for maybe 1-2 weeks, possibly, maybe even longer, you don't know with COVID. And then next thing you know, he's back. But you know he's a player of value, a player that you need to have. If you want to be knocking around up the top end of the Dream Team League, you have these players. So you were straight back into your side. No questions. All right, it's cost you 2 transfers, but it's also got you picked up your 10 points, and you've got Trent going forward into a decent month looking for Liverpool. So I think everything James says is absolutely spot on about. It's about the plan. And if you don't have a plan, that's when you find yourself making impulsive decisions just on a whim, on a lineup. Just, all right, this lineup's there, bang, we'll put him in because he could do well this weekend. But you've not looked what's further ahead. You've not looked what's 2-3 weeks ahead. Even longer, what's the month coming up? Or are you going to have to use another transfer taking him out? Really good to you that you're doing that, James, because obviously I think every Dream Team player would be a value of that checklist, because I think it'd be a handy tool to have. Yeah. And obviously for people that aren't on the Patreon, I didn't mention at the start of the show, but the link to our Patreon is patreon.com/Dream Team Tonic. If you want to support the guys and get involved in that, it should help your Dream Team game going forward. Discord group, all over stuff, articles, blogs, fixture eases, you name it. Obviously, after hours pod, we'll be going into more detail. A little bit of an advert mid-pod there, but throw it out there because it is a massive help, and a lot of the lads in the Discord are doing well. So that you are, Lee. I get what you're trying to say, but like James said, you're probably going too far the other way. You plan. and if you've got a plan, you won't make as many mistakes. You're still going to make mistakes. We all take players out at burners. It happens every single season. You're never, ever going to avoid that. But with a plan, you will avoid a lot more of the percentage of them. So, about the planning, mate. Right, Gazzy's right arm. Moving into February, I quite fancy Coutinho, but only 5 games against 7 or 8, some top sides. With Pep Roulette, etc., is he worth a punt? As I think he will play all 5 and score points, or is it stick to more of the games in the top sides? Don't really need to take risks as he's top of his middle league. What's our thoughts, Ben?
Well, if you're top of your mini league, you don't want to be making any punts, really.
No.
Do sensible moves, stick to the best players, the ones that will score points average consistently. Like if you've got a team that's a bit further down, or you're going for a weekly prize or a monthly prize, it's worth a punt. But in your top team, I wouldn't not do that at all. But
James?
The fixtures are really good. Yeah, the fixtures are really good for Villa.
Yeah, they have
next
got
month.
They do have some nice fixtures. James?
Yeah, I agree with what Ben said. Yeah, I always go for players from the top 6 sides in Dream Team, especially when there's European competition back on the way.
Yeah.
It's not just this month. That Villa will have less fixtures. It's likely to be, February, March, April, May, even May potentially for some teams. So those fixtures are plum though, aren't they? Everton, Leeds, Newcastle, Watford, Brighton. Doesn't get much better than that. I don't think it's a crazy move, but it's not something I would do.
Is he not going to sneak his way into a few of your lesser teams, James, with the love for Coutinho you must have?
Oh, the snake, you mean?
You can't turn down Barca.
I'm not going to bring in Coutinho on the basis of one game. Although I'll be honest, he's the best player I've ever seen live in my life. He's got so much time on the ball. He is definitely a quality player, but I always go for the sides with the extra fixtures and the European competitions.
Definitely.
But I'll keep an eye on him. I wouldn't be so pig-headed as not to bring him in because he's a snake. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on him.
Yeah, it's one of them, innit? Like I said, European games returning is gonna make these punts a little less favourable. As good as he looked, and I'll tell you what. Just touching on the Villa game, Emi Buendia, who has always had, he's always been a quality player. He were absolutely brilliant against United. He were unplayable at times, and I know United aren't the best side. They're struggling a little bit, but Emi Buendia, whether that Coutinho sign has just given him a rocket up his arse to say, because if there's any player that's getting replaced in that side, it would be Emi Buendia. But I mean, the interchange between them both when they obviously brought Coutinho on, they looked pretty good together. We might actually see them play together, which is going to be scary for some sides because there's some fucking talent there. They know how to thread a ball through. They know how to work the lines. They're so good. Coutinho, he's a special player. Always been a special player. For whatever reason, it's not happened for him at Barca, but it's a decent start, isn't it? A goal, and he was involved in the first goal as well.
Yeah,
obviously it was a tackle off Fred, weren't it? I think that took the ball across to Jacob Ramsey, but he were there, he were involved in both goals. Yeah, impressive debut. But yeah, as the lads say, don't be taking punts in your leading team. You just carry on leading. It's a hell of a lot harder to chase, but if you start taking punts, people will find it a lot easier to catch you. Right, DT Patrick. Talking about punts. I'm looking to take a punt on an under-the-radar differential for February. Coutinho a possibility. Any other suggestions? So this is someone looking for a punt. So we can't talk him onto filling his side full of City players. He's after a punt, lads. Ben.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say Leicester. Leicester have got pretty much all the players are under the 10% threshold.
Yeah.
Especially like you mentioned earlier, Patson Daka, 1.5% ownership in the game now, and he'll be playing on Wednesday, I would imagine, against Spurs. If you've got Ronaldo and he doesn't play again on Wednesday, you could move across to Daka if you've got the balls. Yeah.
Definitely.
And also Foden's 6.1%. He's quite low down if you want to get him in, but I would imagine a few people will bring him back in, but he'll still be quite lowly owned.
Yeah.
What about you, James?
Yeah, I agree with your Leicester picks. What about Harvey Barnes?
Yeah,
Do you think he might be an option?
definitely.
He was last year, wasn't
Definitely.
he? So probably rate Tielemans above him, but he's a bit higher owned, isn't he? So
He's
that not sure.
5.7%. Yeah,
Still quite low, isn't it?
they're all low apart from Vardy. Somehow's in 13% still. Madison's in 12%, and then everybody else is below that.
Yeah. I would also say keep an eye out for Sonny's return, although I think that's probably going to be after the South American international break at the end of the month. So, but yeah, I mean, his ownership has obviously dropped because he's been out injured. So, he could jump on. I'm not really a punty manager, so don't expect to anything too wild from me. But yeah, Sonny's return is one to keep an eye out on, I think.
So you wouldn't be going for the goal machine Fabinho at 1.5% owned?
No. Nah. Defensive midfielders don't ever make my fantasy football lineup.
Did you see his interview after the Shrewsbury game? They were like, "So are you on penalties now?" And he's going, "No, Millie on penalties."
What about I have as the obvious is Daka, Barnes. What about Lookman? 0.2% owned.
Yeah, he's playing centre forward against Watford the other day. Looked really good. He's had attacking returns in his last 4 games.
Yeah, that ownership so low. If you're after a punt, I think the obviously with Leicester's amount of fixtures, they're quite what we call them punts. They're quite safe punts because you're definitely going to get a volume of fixtures. So it's definitely they're not crazy options, as you'd say, James. They're not out like you're losing your mind. They might work. Like say you're not a punty manager yourself, but Lookman, Daka, Barnes, Tielemans, 5.7% owned. Yeah.
On penalties, yeah.
Yeah. All going to probably play the majority of them games, so be interesting to see. Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes.
United. What's his ownership still now?
It's probably still quite high, but I'd
43%.
out of the engaged managers, which hopefully we're that's the people in and around us in the overall league won't have Fernandes, and there's last season he was and the season before he was amazing, wasn't he? So he is a quality player. It's just whether United are playing him in his best position, and I think maybe he seems to be more in that number 10 role, certainly in the last game. So I wouldn't rule him out. He could come back and start doing what he did last season, I think.
Yeah, he definitely looks better without Ronaldo.
They changed they changed the formation, didn't they, Man United this weekend? They played a diamond instead of the 4-2-2-2-2-2-2-2.
Yeah,
they played Fernandes in the number 10 role.
Better without Ronaldo. He's, United were poor. I've said they were poor. They looked all right, but it looked very average. It looked like a. Usually, you go back to you get used to United probably just beating teams and making it look quite easy. But over the years, probably against Aston Villa, but it's chalk and cheese now. They're a very average side. Bruno Fernandes is a very good player in that average side. If he can find his goal scoring boots again, he's 12.9% owned in the top 1K. 129 teams out of 1,000 have got him. I think it shows doesn't it? I mean, how we've got used to over the last year or so, a couple of years, we having Fernandes in fantasy football. He's usually probably the most owned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ronaldo's had a very negative impact on Fernandes at United.
Of course, they're not getting the penalties this year as well, are they? Like they were, and I think Ronaldo's probably on those anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Whilst Ronaldo's injured, though, he's a good option.
Yeah.
Well,
I just looked at the ownership on the game, the overall game, and Salah is still the most owned player, 45%, and then Fernandes is second, 43%. So
a lot of dead teams there,
Yeah.
aren't there? A lot of dead
Must
teams.
be.
Right, moving on. Tobbs. With Spurs and Leicester with 4 games in hand, how many players from each are you going to bring in, and which players, if any? Ben?
Well, at the moment, the only players that I'll be looking at from Spurs is probably Kane, Moura, and then from Leicester, there's quite a few. There's got Maddison's the main one for me. Just he's on fire at the minute. Daka, like we said again, he's going to be playing centre forward when he's back. He's got no competition. We've already gone through the Leicester options.
Yeah.
What about you, Jay?
I think you've nailed it there, to be honest. There's only 2 or 3 Spurs that are of any interest. Moura, Kane, Sonny when he's back, possibly a defender, although they haven't exactly been keeping clean sheets, have they? Like we thought they might. I think there's still potential in that Spurs defence if you need a cheaper enabler. I'd like to see a bit more form though before I actually jumped. And yeah, we've been through the Leicester options, so I think you've got it covered.
The Spurs fixtures are a bit better next month, though, aren't they? They've got Brighton, Southampton, Wolves, Man City, Leeds.
Yeah.
There was a really hard run this month.
Yeah, I've been on a tricky run.
Mm.
You might see more of them, more output from them next month.
Mm.
Again, I wouldn't be sure about the defence, although Emerson Royale has looked decent. But then he goes away for the South American internationals, doesn't he? He's been called up by Brazil. So he's got 2 games at the end of January before the Cup game. And I think, did he return quite late? So there's going to be a few of them South American players that are probably going to be rested in that Cup game, in the FA Cup at early Feb.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Tony. I hadn't thought about that.
It's just one just to keep an eye on.
At least we'll have our new transfers by then.
Well, yeah, but we don't know. We don't want to spunk them all
No.
in that first Cup game, do we? But
like
yeah,
you can see not to bring them in, or you can see to take them out or whatever.
Yeah, just want to know about the South American. It's mainly Brazil, really, isn't it? There's been quite a few players called to Brazil. But yeah, I'd like to see, before you start planning, are you going to bring, obviously Spurs and Leicester have a lot of games to fit in, but you want to see where they are. And you want to see in what order they played in. I mean, you might end up with some teams playing 4 games in 9 days, 10 days. I think it's going to get that silly at some point in the season. It just depends where it is. So, yeah, I wouldn't be bringing them in on the basis that they've got games to reschedule. I'll be bringing them in when they're rescheduled. Just to get about the planning, just so you know what you're planning and where you're going with it. Yeah, David 87. Following on from the above, do we know the likely dates for all the rescheduled matches? Is this where we need an Ian Parrin, and we've got our own. Ben Lee. No pressure, mate. No pressure.
Next
I mean, it's like a lottery.
I know,
absolutely like a lottery.
Yeah, I've been looking into the fixtures, and for example, Spurs have got 3 games to be rearranged that they're not being rearranged yet, and in February again after the Wolves game on Sunday the 13th. There's a midweek space there,
Yeah.
so they could get one in there. Then the weekend after that is Man City away on the 19th. They can fit another game in midweek there. So that's 2 games they can rearrange in that space of time there. And then obviously if they get through to the FA Cup 5th round or not, that's the 2nd of March. So if they get through, then obviously they won't be able to fit it in there. But then after that, they've got gaps after Everton and Man United as well. So they should be able to fit them in, unless they get reinstated to the Europa Conference League.
Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen, is it? Surely.
Leicester have got 3 games to be rearranged that haven't been arranged. So they haven't got a gap until game week 25, which is Saturday the 26th of February. And that's when they were supposed to play Chelsea. But because Chelsea are in the Carabao Cup final, they'll be able to fit a game in there. And then you got the FA Cup the next week. So that's the 5th round. Obviously, if they beat Forest, they won't be able to fit one in there. But if they lose, then they can fit one in there. Which the FA Cup 5th round is a midweek as well. So, and then obviously if they get through to the last 16 in the Europa Conference, they won't be able to fit it in February because they have to play back-to-back midweek games after Leeds and Arsenal. And then after that, it's FA Cup quarter-final. So if they get through there, it's either Brentford or FA Cup quarter-final. So it's just, they'll have to probably fit it in April. Or do Man United. Man United last year had 3 games in 6 days, didn't they? At the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's how silly it's going to get.
Yeah. So I think when we get to April, then it's going to start trying to push 3 games a week.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be like a Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday or something like that.
Yeah. I think that's what they're going to have to do because they're running out of space, they're running out of time. I think that's why the Premier League probably do have to get tough now on these rearrangements. They're just going to have to say, do you know what? You have to put your youth sides out. It's tough shit now.
So, did you hear what they did? What they're doing in Spain? It's 30. You've got 13. If you can put out 13 players plus a goalkeeper, and 5 of those are first team regulars.
Yeah.
Then you have to play no matter what. They've not had one postponement in Spain, and the rules are clear. That it's set in stone. If you've got 13 players, you play.
That's unusual for Spanish as well.
So?
That's unusual for Spain as well, because I know what it's like in Spain. It's mañana. Tomorrow.
Well, they don't want to miss their football, do they?
Sounds like I'd fit right in Spain. That's what my missus always says about me. Everything's leave it till tomorrow. But yeah. Like I say, it's a guessing game. I think we're going to end up with some really busy weeks at some point, which will be great. It'll be fun. Have to see how it goes. Right, Niles Koopman has been on. Assuming you've all entered 10 teams, how many of these are you still making transfers in? How many are you trying harder with, and how many have you no longer? How many teams do you no longer make transfers in, James?
Well, the top 5 teams definitely get the most attention because all of them are in various different leagues. Obviously, my top team's in the top 50 at the moment, so that's the one I'm really putting a lot of effort into. Possibly overthinking, if I'm honest, but that's what you do when you start getting the pressure of being up there. It does focus the mind. Yeah. I still make transfers in my bottom 5 teams. Just because I can't help myself, but I don't take it too seriously. And if I'm under pressure, I'll be like, it doesn't really matter. But some of them are actually catching me other ones up now. So I've only got like 2 that are cut adrift. The rest of them are, the top 5 are reasonable positions overall. The bottom, the next 3 aren't too bad, and then the bottom 2 are well, the bottom two. My bottom team is called Manchester United Block, I think.
What
So you can see what happened there, can't you?
What
Yeah.
coincidence? That's my worst team's a Man United block.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I'm still playing with them all. Obviously, I've got five really good teams at doing well, and then I've got like a zombie team which I don't do any transfers in. It's in a zombie league. And then like my Man United team's at the bottom. It's just I still make transfers in it, but it's gonna win nothing this year. And then I've got two other teams in another mini league where you can only have 3 players from each team.
Mm.
So they're not doing as good as my other 5, but they're doing all right in the mini league. What about you, Tony?
Well, I do play 10 teams. I'm probably only playing the top 5 or 6 now. Making transfers and actually thinking much about it. In probably obviously my pod team, I do. Just joined the Patreon league with that, so I need to start concentrating a lot more on that as well. But the bottom 3 teams, one of them is in a monthly league where you get monthly prizes, so that makes me have to concentrate on that. I've got one completely cut adrift, which I've turned into a Man City side, and yeah, I just play them all. There will come a time when obviously you just ignore them, but like James says, when you get one or two up near the top of the whole thing, then you do start to pay a lot more attention to that, and they become your little babies. But yeah, I sometimes the other teams can sneak up on it, so that's why I carry on with the other teams, is because you can make 2 or 3 transfers, and you might not be thinking much about it, but they might have a very good week, a very good month. And next thing you know is like they're all the way up there, and they're knocking on towards the top 1K. So yeah, I just played a lot. Why not? Follow it through. Another one from Niles Koopman. Lukaku out. When and who for? Not many striker options appeal. Is 4-4-2 the way forward? James.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from with the 4-4-2. Lot of the strikers have been a bit disappointing this year. Yeah, so I mean, you could have easily have at the back a couple of Liverpool, couple of City, couldn't you? But yeah, when would you take out Lukaku? Well, I've been thinking about that. I'm thinking about taking him out with some of my final transfers this month. In some of my sides, because you only missed the Plymouth game at the beginning of February, and there's a good chance he won't play in that anyway. So I would be, if you've got transfers left, I would certainly be looking to either take him out on the Thursday the 3rd of February, or possibly even the week before, if you've got a better option. Like you said, go for it at the back. He's only got the Spurs game at the moment next week, so that's not exactly a plum fixture, is it? So you could make the move earlier, or you could wait till that the Thursday before the new transfers drop.
Yeah, Ben.
Yeah, it's tough. There's not many options. Like I was saying earlier, it was a bit rubbish trying to find someone to find any transfers this week. Obviously with the rearrangements and that. But I'm struggling to probably a Liverpool forward, Jota, Ronaldo. Like you say, 4-4-2. Maybe Daka. Antonio's got good fixtures, but then he hasn't got any midweek games after game week 23 because there's no qualifiers. They're not in the qualifiers for the Europa League because they got straight through to the last 16.
Yeah.
So, but their fixtures for Feb are decent though. West Ham, they've got Kidderminster, Watford, Leicester, Newcastle, Wolves. Apart from Wolves, you'd say they'll score against all them teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, 4-4-2. I think unless you're going to take a punt on Daka for the volume of fixtures that Leicester have got, and obviously the ability. Like, we know we know he can score. We know he's a good player. Will he show it consistently through the month? He's a punt, a little bit of a punt, but volume of fixtures there. I think he'll play him a majority. Or the safer option, playing the quality of fixtures is probably City, Liverpool, and going 4 at the back, and sticking with a 4 in midfield, which obviously we know heavy City midfield, and obviously Bowen's come to the 4 there as well as someone who's probably nailed on. Maddison, obviously, his ownership's creeping up as well. It's a shame for his postponed game, but
Foden.
Yeah, you've got a lot of options in midfield, so I can't see you going less than 4 midfielders for February.
I imagine he's got KDB already.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to stack that defence because of the quality of the fixtures that Liverpool and City have got. I think there's a high percentage of chance there's going to be quite a few clean sheets for them because they're going to control games against them lesser sides. And I don't think the value is there in probably the forward. Like you say, you've got Ronaldo. Fucking United are so poor at the minute. It's hard to get excited. Even if you own him, you're just like, if you own any of the United players, you're just dreading what's to come rather than like, there's usually an expectancy with if you've got a Fernandes or a Ronaldo. But at the minute, it's are they actually going to do anything? Are they going to get a 7 rating? A little bit same with Spurs. Obviously, Son's missing, but obviously he'll be due back probably. That's in Feb, innit?
Yeah,
James.
So the South American international breaks at the end of Jan, and then he should be back after that in February, I think.
So you'd like to think Spurs attacking assets would go back and improve a little bit again, because their XG was pretty high at one point before Son's injury. So I'd like to think that climbs back up. So that's an option. But if
those fixtures get put into February as well, they've got more fixtures as well, so it could be good for Kane and Son.
Yeah, again, that's the thing we've got to plan what's in front of us, because if they don't throw them fixtures in, and you take the punt, I think, let's see what they've got first. We probably know by the end of Jan where them rearrangements are going to go in, and definitely after the cup games at the start of Feb. So it's one to keep an eye on. But 4-4-2 is probably the safer option. But if you want to chase a little bit, you're feeling a little bit punty, I think Daka might be going into a couple of my sides. So especially obviously once we see the lineups of Leicester at the start of the month, and they start off with Notts. Is it Notts Forest? That?
Oh, you can't call them Notts Forest. They get the ump.
Do they?
Yeah, don't like it. Don't like being called Notts because it's Notts County.
Notts County.
Yeah. Notts Florists.
Can I just go back to one point we were talking about a second ago? When will we find out when those rearranged fixtures are? I wouldn't have thought that they would announce the fixtures until after the FA Cup games. In the first set of fixtures in February, which is annoying if you've got transfers held back to try and set yourself up for February. I think there's a good chance you won't know, because I don't think they'll be rearranging fixtures whilst they don't know who's going through in the FA Cup. Do you think that's a fair comment?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's annoying. But so you just got to go with what you know now and try and do your best. But
it's definitely because you're under a threat of missing that first double week, then, aren't you? Because if you hold your transfers back because you don't know the fixtures a little bit further, you're not going to make your transfers for that weekend, which means they're locked for, if they do play, they're locked for the midweek game that week. So it takes you to like the weekend of the 12th of Feb before you're even like planning further through, and you're already 2 weeks into Feb then, which is frustrating that. But so we just got to look at what we've got there on the fixture ticker and plan as best as you can. You can take a punt that they're going to throw throw 2 Spurs games in then midweek. Like you say, what about if they go back into Conference League?
Yeah.
I mean, that throws it all back up in there. Will they put the games in there? Will they have to be played later? We just don't know. But yeah, plan what's in front of you. Des Tony. Destiny. Des Tony. Good name, mate. Anyway, where do you think the overall winner will come from? The top 10, the top 50, or the top 100?
I think James is going to win it.
Well, I think it'll be from the top 49.
Yeah, top 49.
Yeah.
I think probably it's probably going to be the top 20, but it might be the top 40 / 49.
Yeah.
I've actually had a look at the points gaps between various ranks.
Yeah.
So 10th place is 55 points behind first place. 100th place is 122 points behind first place. That's quite a lot to catch up.
Yeah.
When you, I think if you're further down the leagues, that is doable. But when you're getting up to the top, you're talking about really engaged managers. They're all going to have similar teams. It makes it harder to make those jumps. I think you'd have to be looking at getting in. If you're going to do it from 100 spots to make up 122 places, you're going to have an absolute blinder when you get to the top parts of the league. I think. Do you agree, guys?
Yeah, it's going to come down to taking a few punts, James.
Yeah.
I think essentially it'd be do you play for the rank to hold rank and just go with the crowd, like not particularly go with the crowd, but just keep on keeping on kind of thing with your sensible moves and other stuff, and you'll probably end up with a very nice rank at the end of the day. Or do you find yourself? I think Ben, you was a point of this the other year, where do you start having to make moves because if you're going to try and win it, you're either going to climb very handsomely because you've got a few differentials in there, or you're going to fall pretty dramatically. There's no probably in between, and it's when is that point where you go, sod it, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And is it too late then when you go, sod it, I'm going to go for it? It's so tricky. I mean, for me, like you say, it's a big points gap of 100. Is it to
122 points to if you're in 100th to first place.
Yeah, it's a lot of points to catch up, like you say, with engaged managers. You're going to need quite a few differentials and a bit of good luck, like Fergie said on other pod. A bit of good luck go your way. What we do know is the guy at the top was Heavy City, weren't he? He was Heavy City for quite a long time, to be fair. He's got 5 City sat in his team. So he's got 5 City, 3 Liverpool, Ronaldo, Lukaku and Bowen. Now, what's the plan to catch him? when we look at the fixtures and stuff, so we know Liverpool and City both have decent fixtures, so you're probably going to have to move and change away from that and go heavy Liverpool with a sprinkling of City and hope you've got the right City players and the differential Liverpool players can keep maybe chopping away 10, 15 points. It's so difficult to catch. Chasing is the hardest thing in Dream Team, the hardest thing. Especially, like you say, when you've got engaged managers that are on the ball and they know what they're doing. So, yeah.
Well,
top 50. Top 50. I'm going to go for top 50. I think
Yeah.
the winner's probably in the top 50 right now. That's not to say nobody outside of that can get a very good rank themselves, because I think it's close, quite close up after that. But there is a bit of a breakaway. What do you reckon, Ben?
Yeah, I think it's going to be around the top 50, top 60 players to win it. I've got my money on James.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed, mate.
You can do it.
You can do it, James. Go, Jambo! Right, talking of leagues, let's head across to the Dream Team Tonic Cash Mini League. Here we go, the top 10. James, your turn this week.
Is it?
Oh, no, hold on.
Is it?
No, I think it's Ben's.
I'll do it. Hey, I'll be in there in a few weeks. Don't worry. I'll do it because I can see a few familiar names in there. Right. In 10th place, Niels Koopman, Holland 3. Steve Legg and James Fricker in joint 8th.
Yes, come on. I can't believe that Tony's pipped me by bloody 1 point.
Yes.
Right at the death as well. That was right at the death, that was.
In 7th place, Tony.
Get in there. Up to 7th, flying.
6th place, Henry Cartridge, winging it. 5th place, John Perra, Braveheart. 4th place, the current champion of Dream Team, Andrew Ferguson. 3rd place, Heath Robson, Penningham. Great right that time, didn't I? And 2nd place, Alex Cole, Sarah Alex FC2. And top of the shop, Dan Sherwood, Gold Hunting.
3 points between the top 2.
Yeah.
Bunching up a little bit.
Fergie's up there now.
Yeah. Consistently climbing.
He had a stormer last week, didn't he? Like over 100 points. But he's only got 34 so far this week. So
yeah.
He's dropped from 3rd to 4th.
But bunched back up, hasn't it?
It's we've still got some games to play, haven't we? So wouldn't be surprised if he gets back up there again.
Dan Sherwood is 20th with his team in the overall leaderboard, and 19th with another team, and then you've got Alex Coles in 22nd.
Well done, guys.
A lot of big hitters in that league, all up there vying for the main trophy. And for the first time ever now, we have got the DT Tonic Patreons League top 10.
Hey.
Another opportunity to get in the top 10, lads. So, James.
In 10th, we have Stephen Broughton. In 9th, Mark McKee. 8th, Michael White. 6th, joint 6th, R. Connor, Tobin, and Sean Siddell. Oh no, that's a different Connor. Sorry, Connor.
That's Millwall Chelsea Connor.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, sorry, Connor. In 5th, our Connor Story. In 4th, David Dunkley. In 3rd, Andrew Barnett. And in joint 1st, we have Ben Lee. And Paul McNally.
Happy days. Flying high. Everyone racing for that T-shirt.
And the trophy.
And the trophy, yeah. Don't forget the trophy. And the pen. Right.
Not a blankety blank checkbook, though. And a pen. Just a pen.
No. That blank checkbook's what Newcastle are handing out, isn't it? Chris Wood on 300k a week. Fucking hell. Anyway, most owned percentage. James, give us a lowdown on the top 1k ownership. Top 5 players, please.
At the top, we have Cancelo on 83% and Bernardo Silva just below him on 83%. 83.2 to be precise. Trent is now up there with 78% ownership. Kevin De Bruyne 71%, and Diego Jota is in 61% of teams.
Happy days. Nothing too surprising on there.
Oh, I noticed Gerard Bowen's up to 40%. That's pretty. That's a big jump, I think. From he's gaining ownership rapidly, isn't he?
He is. He is. Well, we'll see here on the latest ins. Jared Bowen, top of the shop. 24,000 transfers in this last week. Harry Kane, a cancelled North London derby. The new 21,000 owners. What a frustration that is. Jota, 19,000 transfers in. Antonio, 10,000 transfers in. And KDB doing the business again this weekend for his new 9,000 owners. Any surprises on there for you lads? Any of the players that transferred in?
Ramsdale was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
They have no fixtures.
They've got a blank fixture coming up as well, haven't they? So yeah, no, that's an odd one.
Yeah, strange one.
Coutinho's on there, isn't he? Some people have put.
Oh yeah, 5,000 people have already punted on Coutinho.
Yeah. Love it.
And he was on the bench, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Come off and did the business, didn't he?
Yeah.
Latest outs, Ben?
Yeah. Mo Salah, 39,500 transfers out. Ben Rama, 13,700 transfers out. Mane, 12,500 transfers out. Reece James, 12,000 transfers out, injured. Son, 11,400 transfers out. And it's like all AFCON players, isn't it, really?
Yeah. AFCON and injuries.
Yeah. Mahrez, 11,400 transferred out. Mendy, 10,000. Smith Rowe goes on, doesn't it? All injured players, no surprises on there, really, and AFCON players.
Yeah. Yep, no surprises.
Ronaldo's on there. Could they get hurt?
Possibly.
Brentford, don't look too good, do they, Brentford?
No.
I think it's odd that suddenly out of the blue, 1,718 people got rid of Jordan Henderson. Why did they have him in the first place? And why have they all suddenly decided to get rid of him?
Yeah. Strange one.
Gallagher's gone and scored this week, and he's got 2,800 transfers out.
Yeah. Yep. He burnt me in a couple of formats.
Yeah, so kept him in my Sky team, captained him on Friday. Come on.
Top player.
Nearly 5,000 got rid of Fernandes this week.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to be screwing, aren't they?
Be fuming.
Yep.
Absolutely fuming.
Double game week.
Yeah. It's not the time, is it? Not the time. We'll update the differential league next week. Next Sunday. We'll sort that out. Get all that wrapped up. Again, I'll just give another mention. If you're listening on Spotify, please give us a nice rating. 5, as Ben says, 5 stars. If you're listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. It helps. Drop a comment for the lads. We're quite quick to respond. And hit subscribe if you haven't. If you're interested in joining our Patreon and getting a lot more Dream Team content and a lot more advice from the lads and more direct access to us, it's patreon.com/Dream Team Tonic. Have a look on there and show your support to the lads. But as ever, it's our pleasure. If you've not been across to the website yet, dreamteamtonic.com. Connor, who's having a mighty fine season as well as his lads in Dream Team this year. He does a great blog. Get across there and give his work a read. Some really good stuff. Steve puts his Sky Fantasy Football blog on there. Another cracking read, as well as Mike with his Fan Team blog. If you're looking for a platform to blog on for the back end of this season, maybe looking to start for next season in the summer, give us a message on Twitter @Dream Team Tonic. So for you Patreons, don't forget that coming up this week on Tuesday, the 18th of January, we've got the live question and answer with me, Ben and James. That's at 8 o'clock. So don't miss out on that. Also, you'll be seeing a new After Hours podcast in the next few weeks as well. Lots more to come. Lots coming up. That's all from me. And you had anything to add?
No, nothing from me.
What about Benitez getting sacked this week, eh? Can't believe that.
Graham Potter's already come out and said, I'm not interested. Well, why would he? He's got a better side at Brighton than he has than he'd be taking over at Everton.
I'll leave this here. Hands off Mowbray, Everton. You're not going anywhere near him. He's ours.
He's the Messiah.
He is.
There was rumours of him going to Middlesbrough a couple of months ago. Mowbray. I heard it through the grapevine.
His family's in Middlesbrough, aren't they?
Yeah.
He's from Middlesbrough, so...
I thought he'd managed them. He's managed bloody everyone, hasn't he? He managed Coventry for a bit, I think.
Hold on.
He's been all over the shop. He's a journeyman, Tony.
No, I'm not happy with this.
He's a journeyman.
That's like one of your mates telling you that your missus have been round everyone. No, I'm not having it. It doesn't matter. He loves us. He's ours.
It'd be quicker for us to list the clubs he hasn't managed than the clubs he has.
Yeah, but he loves us.
What about what was I going to say? Martinez has been linked with Everton job. Roberto Martinez.
And that's like going back with your ex. It's never, ever wise.
Oh, God. I think Tom from who got the assist put a comment on Twitter which made me laugh. He said, bringing in Martinez to sort out a leaky defence is like Newcastle bringing in Eddie Howe to sort out a leaky defence.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree.
It's true. Completely true.
They might play better football, though.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Can't play any worse.
Their attacking assets might become a viable option. It's a little bit like Leicester, isn't it? And probably West Ham to a degree is where we're all looking at their attacking assets. Like we're looking at their tits, but there's not much else going on. do you know what I mean? We're all drawn in by the assets up front.
They've got a body like Baywatch and a face like Crime Watch.
That's it. Right, and on that note, we'll be speaking to you next week.
I just wanted to give a quick... shout out to Adama Traore. Way!
Oh yeah, he scored a goal. Shit. Yeah. Well done, Adama.
Well done, Adama.
Good lad. No star man though.
No, still got a 7 rating though.
Yeah. We'll leave you with that.
Good night, chaps.
Good night, chaps.
Good night.